Hello, everyone. I'm Kimberly Adams. Welcome back to Make Me Smart, where we make today make sense. Thanks, everybody, for joining us for our weekly happy hour, whether you're on the YouTube live stream or listening to the podcast later. This is Economics on Tap. And today we're talking about one of my favorite topics, parties, and how to host better parties this holiday season, especially if you're trying to do it without breaking the bank. And our entertaining expert for today is Casey Elsass, who's a food writer and author of the book, What Can I Bring? Recipes to help you live your guest life. That's a mouthful to get out. Hey, Casey.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Well, before we get into your tips for hosting, for folks watching the live stream, feel free to drop in any questions that you have for Casey in the chat, whether it be about dishes to bring or entertaining etiquette, all those kinds of things. And in the second half of the show, we're going to get to some of those questions. Now, of course, since it is happy hour, we have to talk drinks. Casey, what did you bring?
I brought an extra large Aperol spritz.
I love it. For a second, when I saw the multi-layered colors of your glass, I was like, is this one of those fancy layered drinks? Oh my gosh.
No. I know it's not what everyone thinks of it as a summer drink. My boyfriend
hmm
drinks Aperol 365 days, so he's really inspired me to broaden my understanding of a spritz as an all the time Aperol aperitivo
Okay.
drink. And what did you bring?
One of my good friends, that's his go-to any time of year. Always an Aperol spritz or what is it? A mezcal Negroni is the other thing he
Oh,
likes to
wow.
drink.
All right. One of those
Yes.
is more heavy duty than the other.
Well, I'm in the office, so I have a limited bar here, but I went ahead and did an old fashioned because I have like an old fashioned syrup and then bourbon, of course. And
Yes.
yeah, just keep it real simple to keep it
Beautiful.
going in the office. So let's see what everybody's drinking in the chat. Everybody's saying hi, Casey.
Hi. Hi, everyone.
Um, what's everybody drinking? Let's see. Rach Meister is in Tempe, working from home and drinking water. I appreciate that.
Smart.
Um, Deb is saying that chill weather makes hot buttered rum the drink today.
Mm.
Love that. Mighty Unlikely has a Cab Pinot blend and a smile, and love that. Joy Scout has a brandy old fashioned, which is Wisconsin's official
Um,
state cocktail. Oh, Q Next is having sake. I have sake here, and I almost was going to drink that today, but it felt like I wanted to do something a little bit more. Oh, and Lynn is having 7 Up. I love 7 Up because, like, my dad used to work there growing up, and it was a big company in St.
yeah.
Louis, where I'm from. So I have so much like 1980s and 1990s 7 Up paraphernalia in my house. It's wild. People like your shirt also, by the way,
Oh, thank
Casey.
you. Thank you.
All right, let's talk hosting. But before we get to that, I want to have you explain to everybody a little bit about what you do, because you do more than just write the cookbook that you have out.
Yes. So I am a food writer, I'm a recipe developer, I'm a cookbook author. This was my first time writing my cookbook, but it actually was my 20th cookbook that I had written. I
Just
do,
wild. That's
I
so many
know, I
cookbooks.
know. I didn't plan it that way, but it landed so beautifully on number 20. But a lot of my work is ghostwriting, co-authoring other people's cookbooks. So I had a lot of practice
So,
runs before it was my turn.
so all those big celebrity cookbooks may have a little bit of your touch in it, or a lot of your touch in it.
Celebrities, influencers, but even chefs, I like they are so busy running a restaurant and they just don't have
hmm
time to take a year off and write a cookbook. So I come in, I do a lot of the writing. I also play referee with the chefs because they like to cook in a very restaurant type of way. And so I keep them grounded
hmm
on what a home cook is actually going to be able to do. So yeah.
That's amazing. So then let's talk about parties. What do you think it means to take, or what does it take to bring a party from a good party to a great party that makes sure
Mm.
everybody wants an invite the next year?
Yeah. Well, there's this great author I love, Priya Parker. Have you ever read any of her work?
hmm The
She,
art of gathering, yes.
exactly, yes. She really changed my whole perspective because her whole thesis is the more you can set an expectation, the more comfortable the guests are going to feel in that
Hmm.
scenario. So I think that's always so good to be really clear about what's expected. If you do want them to bring something, if you don't want them to bring something, a sense of how the night's going to flow, if there's a theme to the night. I think the more info you can give ahead of time, the better everybody's going to be able to engage with what's actually happening at that party.
When it comes to hosting a party that maybe is centered around a meal in
Mhm.
particular, what tips do you have for not letting the food budget get out of hand?
I am such a big fan of co-hosting. I'm a big fan of crowdsourcing. I think a lot of people have aspirations to host, but the cost is a big hurdle and the effort is a big hurdle. So that's where I think it's really great to just ask a few friends that you can really trust to chip in and bring the appetizer or bring the dessert or bring a side. And that way you're just crossing things off your to-do list and you have less and less that you need to stress about and focus on.
So let's just say that you want your party to look really nice. And
Mhm.
let's all set expectations that none of our parties are going to be Instagram nice. Like,
Yes.
just let it go. Let it go. But you want to make the party look nice for your friends or your families, but you don't have the money for expensive decor or the time for a lot of these projects that people have. What are some easy ways to make a party kind of look a bit more elevated?
Yeah, I think fresh flowers always make a space
Mm.
feel elevated, but they don't need to be from a florist, from a flower shop. I go to the bodega down the street. They have actually a surprisingly good selection, and if I get a few different types, I
For the
can.
record, y'all, he lives in Brooklyn.
Oh yeah, sorry. Bodega's local slang. Your deli, your corner store. But actually Trader Joe's has great flowers. And so even if
Hmm.
the arrangement is not exactly right, just grab a few, mix and match, make your own. But I also
Hmm.
love tea lights just scattered around the
Oh.
space because they're small enough that they're not distracting, but they add a nice glow. They add a nice ambiance. It's just a little extra touch that makes it feel dressed up in some kind of way.
And you can put tea lights in so many different things to make it look like thematic for the time of
Yeah,
year.
I have,
I always love it when I see putting them people putting them in mini pumpkins. I think that's
yes,
adorable.
those are cute. I just use small glasses. If I have a little
Hmm.
bowl, I'll put it in that. Like anything can hold it. It just the glow of it is really the point.
Even the old receptacles for like candles that you've burned through, if you wash
Yeah,
them out, you can drop a tea light in there and
totally.
it gives the same effect. Okay, so your cookbook, the one that you wrote for, well, I guess you wrote them all, but the one that has your name on it
Yes.
is called What Can I Bring? Recipes to Help You Live Your Guest Life. What do you think makes a good party guest?
I think three things I'm gonna say. First thing is being very aware of what kind of guest you are. I say right at the front of the book, if you're always on time, bring an appetizer. If you're reliably late, bring a drink. If you're stopping by later, bring dessert. And if you bring nothing else, bring a present. So be honest, know your role. Second thing is when you're bringing something, bring everything you're going to need to serve that thing. Don't walk in the door and
Right.
expect your host to give you a platter, a bowl, a pair of tongs. That's your responsibility. Also, your host is going to be playing a game of culinary Tetris in the kitchen. So bring your food ready to go. Do not expect fridge space. Don't expect oven space. Room temp, perfect.
Yeah, I host quite a few parties and I love entertaining and I love hosting for my friends and family, but I have been burned on that what kind of guest thing because one time I asked somebody to bring paper plates because I was almost out, but they didn't show up until like 2 hours into the party. And then I've had other times where people, in their effort to be helpful, are just like hovering over me when I'm like air traffic controlling in the kitchen. And they're like, you gotta enjoy the party. I'm like, this is part of what I'm
I am
enjoying. Is
trying
this
to
like,
enjoy
yes, like let
it.
me do my thing.
Yeah. No, I have also
So,
had someone who
yeah.
was going to bring the cheese plate and they showed up an hour and a half into the dinner. So we had to eat very French that night and finish with the cheese instead.
I didn't know that was a French thing. Learn something new every day on Make Me Smart. A while back, and we talked about it here on the show, there was this big discourse about a piece in the Atlantic about why Americans should party more. And I know certainly in my friend group, we were talking about how people don't want to entertain because they don't want people in their homes or they think they're not going to do a good job. What did you think of that whole discourse and what's holding people back from entertaining or partying more?
That's so interesting because Eater declared last year the year of the dinner party. So I think we have two
Hmm.
teams here.
Okay.
I think entertaining, especially around meals, is much more about the community, the being together, the time spent than what's actually on the table. I actually think it's totally acceptable to incorporate some store-bought things into your dinner. Even if the main is store-bought, I think that's totally fine. I love the idea of a dinner party that's all around a bucket of KFC chicken, but everybody brings their favorite salad, or a party
Mm-hmm.
that's made up with a bunch of dips and it's a really snacky game night kind of dinner party. I think we don't have to think of it in the Martha Stewart level of coursed out set table kind of entertaining.
So there's a bunch of people in the chat talking about how one of the big things holding them back from entertaining is that they don't want to clean their house or they're overwhelmed by the idea of cleaning ahead of this. This is huge for me. Actually, this year my holiday party is not even going to be at my house because I'm like in the middle of a bunch of renovation projects and I just can't deal. So I'm going to do it someplace else. But
Yeah,
like what advice do you have for folks when that's the big hurdle, the idea of getting everything clean enough to not be embarrassed about people coming into your home?
no, I totally get it. I actually, all day today, I've been deep cleaning because I'm hosting on Sunday. It is my least favorite job, but to me, it's really helpful if I separate it out over a series of days and just one day, one room is a really good method for me. I also love to set an alarm for like 1 hour. So I know when that alarm goes
Hmm.
off, I'm stopping. I always go past the alarm because then I'm in the flow of cleaning. But the thing I'll say, you don't have to open up your whole house when people come over. My mom
Hmm.
always did what she called Irish cleaning, which meant you throw a rug over a stain or you slide a blanket over the couch or
Throw
whatever.
blankets can do a lot.
Yes. But contain your party to the couple rooms that you feel comfortable showing and then keep everything off limits to everyone.
Davis dancing in the chat says, I invite the people who love me enough to deal with my regular slash best effort.
That's
That's my
right.
team, basically. Um, we're gonna go to a break in a minute, but what events are next on your hosting calendar?
So this Sunday, my boyfriend and I are hosting a party in my apartment called Thanksgiving Pregame. So we're ahead of the holiday. We're encouraging everyone to bring an appetizer, a drink. If they need to do a test run of their dessert for the big day, bring it and we'll try it. And then I'm going to buy a bunch of frozen pizzas and just have those coming out of the oven all night.
Love it. Love it. All right. Don't forget if you have questions for Casey about hosting, entertaining, or cooking, or anything really, you can send those in the YouTube live stream chat. We're going to get to those in a bit, but right now we're going to take a quick break. All right, we are back and we're going to take some questions from the chat for Casey to answer, and then we are going to play a lightning round of this or that. So, first of all, Kay Gilbert says, what can I bring that is okay for vegans? My go-to recipes all seem to have cheese or meat.
Well, great news for you. In my cookbook, every recipe has a key to show you if it follows any dietary restrictions. Also, every recipe is ranked by effort level. So no matter what your skill
Hmm.
set in the kitchen is, you can find something you're gonna love. I would say for vegans, don't think of replacement, think of things that are naturally vegan. Things like guacamole, salsas, things that don't even have dairy as part of the equation are so much easier than trying to swap out an ingredient.
So we actually have a great tip that came from Stephanie Moore Fuller, who says, in terms of decor, I recommend pruning stuff in your yard to make a great centerpiece.
That's a great
I've
tip.
done this before. I definitely have raided neighborhood hedges for things. And I love that. But then we have a question from Paul who says, what's a great chicken dish that is interesting and different, but not too hard for a medium level cook?
Mm. I mean, I think a roast chicken is always the right move. And it's
Hmm.
shockingly easy once you get the hang of it, because really it's just about seasoning ahead of time and monitoring the temperature as you bake it. But you really just slide the whole thing in the oven, you bake it, you pull it out, it's ready to go. That's always my favorite move when people are coming over.
And I will say a lot of stores now sell like pre-marinated
Mm,
chickens that you don't even have to season them. You can just
yeah,
stick them in.
yes.
So that's something. Another tip here from Mighty Unlikely is to bring an extra large Ziploc for you to retrieve the serving dish that you brought without needing to clean it. So you're not dealing with a lot of mess when you're taking your dish back home. I love that.
That's a good guess.
Um, that is a good gift. Oh, and Stephanie Moore Fuller again for an easy chicken dish says, "I love chicken with lemons and olives. There are lots of versions online." Yeah, thank you everybody for your tips and your questions. Let's move on to a lightning round of this or that. We are going to play it with the wonderful Jay Siebold, and don't forget, there's going to be an audience poll at the end. So, you ready, Jay?
All right, I think this will be a good summary of everything we've been talking about this episode. Okay, here we go. First one, this or that. Gelatinous cranberry sauce from a can or a chunkier, saucier homemade cranberry sauce?
I'm gonna say the
I'm
can.
definitely going home. Oh, that is the exact opposite of how I thought this was gonna go. I I'm a big texture person, so the gelatinous aspect does not work well for me. So I actually used to not eat cranberry sauce until my mother at one point decided to start experimenting with like homemade cranberry sauce from the like frozen cranberries. And I was like, "Oh, this is an edible thing. I can eat this." But you like the canned version.
I do like the can version. I like, for me, I'd say it's the opposite texture. I like the smoothness of that, but I also really like the flavor balance that they nail in the can.
Mm,
You can't always get it quite
yeah.
right with the homemade.
Well, and they've been making that one thing for such a long time. They
Yes.
pretty much have that down. Oh, somebody, JJ Stewart is talking about a ginger cranberry pear sauce. That sounds
Ooh,
delicious.
that does sound good.
Yeah. All right, what's the next topic, Jay?
Okay, this or that. A big old punch bowl for guests to ladle drinks out of or handshaken cocktails poured to your guests' liking?
Punch bowl.
Why?
I think the more you can do ahead of time, the more you can be present at your own party. And I hate
Mm-hmm.
the idea of being bartender all night.
So I have two reasons for avoiding the punch bowl. Number
Mhm.
one, I do not trust my friends not to add something extra to it at some point during the night. And I try to make all of my parties kid friendly. And as much as I try to like make sure that they don't get into things, I also don't trust that they're not gonna get into a boozy cocktail if it's served. But I was actually at a sort of what do you call it? Like a flea market, big huge thrift store in Missouri with my mom, and I found this antique thing that looks like a giant teapot, but it's actually a giant cocktail shaker and it's like this big
Wow.
and it's amazing and it's got a spout on it with a
To
little like
pour.
screw top so that you could to pour. And so now I just make like a giant thing of cocktail that I can continually shake and refill and then I can pour it out as I need to and like it's been game changer at
All
parties.
right.
So I
You
love
solved it. That's
it.
it.
I've never seen a new one though. Like in because the spout is what's key because it makes it easier to do it because like popping it off and everything.
Yeah.
Anyhow, that's a tangent. Okay, Jay, what's the next one?
Okay, last one. This is for the poll in the YouTube live chat, so get ready to vote.
All right, everybody.
This or that. A potluck style holiday hang where everyone brings something to share, or a bespoke host-it-yourself, do-it-yourself shindig where you're setting the table and doing the menu too.
So let's vamp for a little while before we give our answers so we can give people a chance to think about it and vote. What are your pros and cons of both styles?
Well, I mean, I think it's obvious which team I'm on since I wrote a whole book about it. I think the pros to a potluck are less pressure, more fun, more loose, more interactive. I love also when everybody gets to share in the praise. Everyone brought something, everyone gets a compliment. The pro to the more bespoke one, you're in control of every detail. You can be very specific about the vision for the night. Everything's under your control. I'm not quite that type A, so not my bag, but I appreciate it. I like being a guest at those parties.
I have a friend who's in recent years started throwing parties that always have a theme around them.
Hmm.
So, like the last theme, and this was a couple weeks ago, was to bring a piece of poetry that speaks to you. And
Ooh.
then you send in the poem in advance. And then she sort of themed dishes and cocktails around some of the poems. And she did the whole menu herself. People brought like sides and pre-made stuff to like help flesh it out, but she did the mains.
Hmm.
And then there was another one where she was asking for like your favorite short story or something like that, very literary stuff. And so the poem that I brought was a poem called The Song of the Shirt, which is this like 19th century poem about a woman working in a sweatshop, and it gets into sort of economic inequality and how
Hmm.
this woman, while she's making these sort of high-end shirts for the wealthy, was extremely mindful of her poverty and the gaps and everything like that, which felt very present in this moment. Anyway, and so I thought that that was a really cool way to kind of blend the two of you get a theme, everyone's bringing something on
Yeah.
theme, and oh, I remember the one that she did that was about short stories. I brought The Cask of Amontillado by Edgar Allan Poe, and then I brought a bottle of Amontillado.
I love that.
I'm
That
sure I
is
said that wrong.
so smart to theme it that way. Did everyone
Yeah.
read their poems with their course?
Most people did either discuss what poem they brought and why, or read a portion of it. Some people could
Hmm.
recite theirs from memory because it
Yeah.
was really special. Mine is very long, so I couldn't. But I gave like the key stanza that has
Yeah,
stuck with me over the years.
that's so
All right, the
cool.
poll is closed. 75% I think are on the same team as you as potluck style. I I'm a host it yourself holiday party kind of person, mainly because I only do a couple of parties every year, and all of my friends are very, very busy, and it feels nice for me to kind of be like, just show up. Don't
Yeah,
worry about bringing anything. Don't worry about making anything. Just show up, bring your kids, and relax. And I feel like that's kind of the gift I can give my guests is just be at the party. And
yeah.
so, yeah, I'm a host it yourself kind of girl. All right. Thanks everybody for voting. All right, that is it for our game. If you are in the mood for more games, go take Marketplace's weekly news quiz. You can find it at marketplace.org/quiz or follow the link in our show notes. That is a wrap for this Friday. And Casey, thank you so much for joining us. This has been a ton of fun.
Thank you so much. This was great.
We're going to be back next week. And in the meantime, you can email us at makemesmart@marketplace.org or leave us a voicemail at 508 You Be Smart. Have a great weekend, everybody, and throw a party. What are you making for your Thanksgiving pregame?
I haven't decided yet. Um, the pizzas, obviously. And I was
Okay,
making a
that'll
list of
work. That'll
like
work.
store-bought snacks to put out, but I want to make something homemade too. So I think my
Okay,
boyfriend will make a dessert.
that'll be nice.
Yeah.
All right, Make Me Smart is produced by Courtney Berg-Seeker with help from Jesus Alvarado this week. Today's episode was engineered by Charlton Thorpe. The team behind the YouTube live stream is Emily McCune and Antoinette Brock. Our interim supervisory senior producer is Stephanie Seek. Nancy Fargali is executive producer of Marketplace Shows. And Joanne Griffith is our chief content officer.